Welcome back to another short Legacy League where we have Grixis Control versus Beanstalk Control. Lots of control. A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Kept 6 and David will be on the play. Taking a peek at Byron's list here, running 2 Baleful Strix, 4 Bowmasters, 2 Snapcasters, Brazen Borrower, a Nimble Obstructionist, 2 Narsets, a Blast from the Past Jace, and one of my favorite Planeswalkers, Sorin the Mirthless. And then he has a normal suite of cantrips with the Ponders and the Brainstorms, 2 Clings, 4 Bolts, 2 Shieldred's Edicts, 2 Kolaghan's Command. Man, this is just a blast from the past here. 4 Forces, Learn Revealed, 2 Thought Seizes, and a Molten Collapse. And then your typical suite of lands, but no Wastelands from Byron in this match. So that's going to be pretty interesting, allowing the Beans deck to run free with all of their dual lands here. And David running your traditional 4-color Beans list with the 4 Bowmasters, 3 Triumphs, 3 Murktides, your 4 Swords, normal cantrip suite of Ponders and Brainstorms, Learn Revealed, 1 Terminus, 1 Dress Down, 4 Beans, 4 Leylines, 4 Forces, and 2 Force Negations. Whew, it's a breathtaker. And then his normal Beans land that's all non-basics. Not even 1 basic. He is running 1 Misty Rainforest, so not Jesus Christ. 1 Mystic Sanctuary. He's running 4 Misty Rainforests here. But looks like the Grixis Control deck is off to a pretty good start, having the Bowmaster come into play here with no Beans out yet. So, and we got the Swords of Plowshare to follow that up. Looks like he does have another Bowmaster in his hand, so that's a plus. He also has a Ponder. And looks all right. So there's our Beans. So the first Beans of the game, and he found his own Bowmaster. So 1 Bowmaster out of here. It does again look like he has another Bowmaster in his hand, and it looks like he just picked up a Kolaghan's Command as well. If you watched one of our previous videos where we featured Green-White Lands versus Low Tide, I got absolutely dumpstered by Kolaghan's Command in game number 1. I haven't been killed by that card in a long time, but it did happen, and it was pretty cool for the most part. Some people may feel differently about the language I chose to use in that video, but as we all know, sometimes you just gotta, remember to love yourself. Although we've got a Force of Will on another Bowmaster. We got a trigger here, and it looks like that Bowmaster is gone. A 2-for-1 out of David's hand. And at least we get a trigger, so we'll get to release place 1 of those cards. Whether that card is nearly as good as the Brainstorm, it's a Bean. So that is okay. All right. So thought we were going to go at instep, and we didn't. Probably would have been the right move there, but we've got a fetch coming from Byron here, and we've got an Oppo agent. So Byron has to hold his horses here and use that K command to kill that Oppo agent, and then it looks like he could probably get a Bowmaster back as well. No reason to 2-for-1 yourself when you can actually, I guess 1 for 2. Is that how that works? I don't know the correct phrasing on that. Essentially, he casts 1 spell, he gets to kill something, and he gets his Bowmaster back. Whether he chooses to get his Bowmaster back or force David to discard. Yep, he is going to get the Bowmaster back. All right. So Bowmaster back in his hand, goes and gets an Underground Sea, and he looks like he's going to ponder his life away and see if he likes what he sees. Shieldred's Edict, Nimble Obstruction, and a swamp there. Doesn't seem bad. I mean, the Shieldred's Edict is really good against David's deck because he's basically just having a 1-for-1, some Triumphs or some Murktides or something like that. Death by 1,000 cuts from that Orc army. And we'll probably see a pass back over to David. Yes, we will. And he finds a Triumph of St. Catherine. He triumphs, and then he also will get a trigger. We'll see if Byron's going to force that or allow that to come onto the board. He allowed the... Okay, it is here to stay. He does have the Shieldred's Edict on top, which does make sense. That why he allowed that to remain on the battlefield. He does have... Oh, shit. There he is. Our man Jace. Spelling out the best word he can. And he's bouncing that Triumphant St. Catherine. So that's why he wasn't worried about that. Another prick on to David. Down 1 life. And on to the next one, I believe. See if he can get something going here. Found a Leyline Binding. He is starving for lands, unfortunately. But he does have another bean he can play. So he could play a bean and then cast the Leyline Binding and pick up 2 triggers on that. So, or no, he can't because he doesn't have enough mana for that. So let's see if Byron's going to fire off that Force of Will this time. Got a trigger from the bean. Byron is deciding whether he wants him to draw that card first or not. So we're going to pitch that Nimble Instruction for a Force of Will. Leyline Binding will be counterspelled, and then we'll see a trigger from the bean, which picked up a Force of Will for David, which he could have used if he would have had another blue card. It's just a little bit of variance there. Good on Byron for catching that. David just taking a peek at what a Nimble Instruction it does. And see if Byron's going to Fate Seal or Brainstorm. He's going to Brainstorm while David's tapped out. Got some bangers there. Picked up a Snapcaster, and it looks like a Shieldrick's Edict there. So that's a pretty good way to go. So he's lined up with a Shieldrick's Edict. He gets another Bowmaster in play, rolling up that Orc army. And now we've got an Ambush Viper on the way over. And 2 more damage. David's life total is slowly ticking down here while he's trying to work through all of this value that Byron is playing. See if he can make something work. Again, he is starving for land, so that's kind of tough. We will see a trigger on the Bowmaster if it comes into play. And we'll see what Byron's thinking about here. He does have the Snapcaster, but he's going to kill the Bowmaster, and then we're going to see a Shieldrick's Edict targeting David. So he Force of Wills, that'll trigger the bean, but the Bowmaster is still on the battlefield. So that Bowmaster will ping, and then it'll hit David's Bowmaster. So the Bowmasters will both die. The Orc army will go up to 3, and David will have a 1/1 Orc army in play. It's interesting play pattern there. Okay. Still in pretty good shape. I think I would have been willing to lose the Bowmaster just so he didn't get another trigger off the Bowmaster. And then he's going to lose his army, and then now we've got whatever a 3/3 vanilla creature is. I'm not even sure what those are anymore. Do they even print those? I'll have to look that up and see during the break and let you know what 3/3 vanilla creature there is out there. All right, so we finally found some land. Source Plowshare on the Orc army. It's pretty good. He needs 1 more mana to get that Triumphant St. Catherine out, or a Brainstorm to get it back on top. Can cast another Beans here. A good line for Byron would be a Snapcaster back into K command, causing a discard on David, and then picking back up the Bowmaster again. And I think that would be 4 total Bowmasters that have been cast in this match, which is pretty good. So I think that's what we're seeing, a K command targeting the Bowmaster and perhaps either zonking him for 2 or making him discard. They're just trying to decide which one he wants to go with. David just hiding a card underneath his chair just in case he needs it. It is another Bowmaster in David's hand as well. So what a great meta Wizards of the Coast has created for us with these Bowmaster subgames. It's almost as if like Deathrite Shaman is back or something along those lines. He does find another mana, but he can't play it that turn. And it looks like we're going to see another Bowmaster come into play. Jace may tick up here, or not tick up, but he may just Brainstorm off Jace while he can, because the mana is, and there's a Molten Collapse. All right. So we got a Molten Collapse and a Brazen Borrower. Basically anything that David does at this point is pretty rough, just because he can bounce back a Triumphant St. Catherine. You can get a Bowmaster into play, put a little bit more damage onto him. So 1 more damage over to David, goes down to 6. Then we get the Ambush Viper going to attack again for 2, putting him down to 4. And when there is lethal on board, so David has to figure out how to make this work. So we've got a draw here. Bowmaster is really good in this situation because David does have a Trificent Catherine, but it will trigger the beans twice, making the Orc army a 3/3, also causing 2 more damage to David. We see a Brazen Borrower at end step, and is that going to be enough? All right, so we have our own Bowmaster coming into play, targeting the Brazen Borrower. That'll put an Orc army into play for David. So now he can block the 2/1 and the 1/1s. Well, you couldn't bounce one of those back. There's the Molten Collapse. All right, so he has the Molten Collapse to kill the Orc army. And then he can bounce the Orc army with the Jace. Just taking a read here. A new card out of whatever this new Ixalan set is. So this is seeing a little bit of play, and it has the cool thing, if you were to basically fetch a land, it can kill a non-creature permanent with 1 CMC. Non-land, non-creature permanent with CMC 1 or less. And then he can use his Jace to bounce the Orc army. And then he's got lethal. So we're going to ponder, I guess, to make sure we're all sized up. Sheoldred's Edict, that will definitely close this game out completely. So I got a fetch here. Byron's just milking the clock. And we'll see a Brainstorm off the Jays just to double check everything. Double lands and a Brainstorm. Not great. He could Lure and Reveal, do it again, but I think he's just happy with Sheoldred's eating the Orc army and then calling it a game. See you in game number 2.
If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.
Go back to game number 2, and both players have got 7. I'm not quite sure why David didn't take the play there, because he lost game 1. But anyway, welcome back to game number 2, and David was supposed to be on the play, but he gave it to Byron. I guess David probably just wanted to draw a card or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he was playing Manaless Dredge in this game number 2. But now that we're back and seeing both deck lists, we can take a look at the sideboards. So for Byron, he's got an Oppo Agent, Fatal Push, some Flusters, Hydroblast, Pyroblast, Surgicals, some Meltdowns, Thoughtseize, and From the Catacombs, which I have no idea what that card is. But it says to put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control with a corpse counter on it. You take the initiative. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it elsewhere. Interesting. So it's a 2 black and 3 colorless way to reanimate a creature and take the initiative at the same time. That's pretty cool. And it has an escape cost as well. So why not? That's pretty neat. So in terms of what he'd probably bring in, I'd imagine probably Thoughtseize, Surgical Extraction, and potentially, actually more than likely, Pyroblast for the Murktides and the Force of Wills. Fatal Push and Plague Engineer is a great mirror breaker for him. It does look like he has a Blood Moon in his hand, and I don't see that in his sideboard, but maybe no, it's not a Blood Moon. Just kidding. It's a Lightning Bolt. All right. So back over to David's sideboard. He's got a Leovold, Oppo, Plague Engineer for, again, the Bowmaster Mirror Breaker, I guess. Carpet of Flowers, which we see David playing right now, as well as 2 Pernicious Deeds, Nile Spellbomb, Veil Summers, Hydroblast, and a Fluster. I can imagine him bringing in the Plague Engineer, the Oppo Agent, potentially the Hydroblast, because we did see Molten Collapse and Kolaghan's Command last game from Byron. Surgicals, maybe if he's just going to try and pick off a Bowmaster or something like that. But it looks like we've already got some gameplay going on here. We've got a Narset on the stack. Let's see if David wants to force will that. He does. Narset in the graveyard. Force of Will, pitching Force of Will. Man, it's a rough 2-for-1 right there. David does have all the mana, but doesn't have any action this game so far that we've seen. He has a Bowmaster in hand, but probably not quite ready to lose that to an opposing Bowmaster, as well as he might want to try and sneak in on... I don't know what he wants to do. I don't really know what I'm talking about here. So we do have 5 mana available to him. We know that Byron doesn't play Daze, or we didn't see it at all in game number 1. So Force of Will on the Triumph of St. Catherine is probably what he could have done. But it doesn't look like he has the Force of Will in hand, and potentially he may have missed a spot to get that Triumph of St. Catherine down. Because he had the additional mana from the Carpet of Flowers, but we'll see what he tries to do here. I'm not sure what he's playing around. Maybe he's just trying to protect the Triumph. But the sooner you get that on the board, the sooner Byron's going to have to deal with it. So 5 mana, and we do see the Triumph of St. Catherine hit the battlefield. With a Bowmaster and a Bolt in hand, Byron could... Alright, well, we're just going to go ahead and get that Bowmaster in play. And deal 1 damage over to David. I was going to say, Byron could, basically 2-for-1 himself by Bowmastering, blocking, and then bolting. I guess he wouldn't really 2-for-1 himself because he'd still have the Orcish Bowmaster available, and the Orc army would take the damage. But it looks like he did just pick up a Molten Collapse here. So interesting note, if he did fetch, he could have chosen to blow up the Carpet of Flowers as well. I'm not sure if he missed that or wasn't really quite thinking about it. He did have a Brainstorm, I guess, that he wanted to cast and maybe use the fetch land to remove the 2 cards out of his hand. Maybe just a little bit of a timing difference or something along those lines, where he didn't quite see that particular line with the Molten Collapse. But it is what it is. And it doesn't look like he's going to fetch anyways, so, alright. I guess it's not a big deal either way. He does have a Ponder he could shuffle with on the following turn. But now David is just drawing a bunch of lands. He does have 2 Leyline Bindings in hand. So he could take one of his Bowmasters off the battlefield at this point. But that Orc army will still be around. He could also Bowmaster their Bowmaster as well. But the Bolt would eat his opposing Bowmaster. So, yep, we'll see the Bowmaster going after the Bowmaster here. And we'll see if Byron's going to fetch now or wait until... Alright, he's going to fetch now. He's going to get a Badlands, and he'll go ahead and bolt the opposing Bowmaster as well. So, just Lightning Bolt after Lightning Bolt and Bowmaster after Bowmaster, and we got a neat game. This is almost like the old Bolt Snap Bolt with, and then also like Belville Strix. So, we did see Jace earlier. We saw a Narset earlier. So, a lot of neat things coming out of Byron's deck. I think he also did quite well on the evening. Let's see how he did. He was... Well, shit. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Let's see. We'll check the standings here. And Byron, I think, went... Yeah, Byron went 2-1. So, not a bad night for Byron on Grixis Control. Not quite sure what he lost. Actually, I can tell you what he lost to. He lost to Mono Red Goblins, but he just lost... he looked like he picked up a game against Goblins. So, Byron doing quite well last night when he was playing this matchup. Another Shieldrick's Edict, it looks like. We've got a fetch land and then a Passover. So, we do know there is a Triumph of St. Catherine in that top 6. We're just not drawing into it at the moment. He could cycle, but cycling right now wouldn't make any sense because if he did draw... Well, I guess he could cycle it. There's enough mana out there that he could cycle... No, he couldn't. I guess he could cycle it on Byron's turn and then Miracle into it, but it's a good thing he didn't because there's a Bowmaster. Well, no, he couldn't cycle to it in Byron's turn because he doesn't get the trigger from the Carpet of Flowers. So, nah, David's a better player than I am, so there we go. That's why he did what he did. Orc Army down, Orc Army +1, and we'll start seeing some Ambush Viper shenanigans happening now. 2 damage over to David's face. See if he finds that last piece that he needs, which would be the Triphosphate Catherine off the top. It is not there. There's a Brainstorm, which is a plus. But with a Bowmaster in play, it'll guarantee he takes at least 3 damage. And then there's a Bowmaster hiding in hand as well. So we got a Leyline Binding on the Bowmaster. That's going to resolve. David thinks it's safe. He'll probably Brainstorm here, which I don't think would be the right move here. I think Brainstorming during Byron's turn, because he knows that, well, there's no guarantee it's going to be the top one. All right, so we got damage coming over to David, and then an additional 3 damage coming over to David, making it 6/6, making that 5/5 Transcendent Catherine lifelinker not great. He did pick up, so he'll be able to Miracle the Triumphant Catherine next turn, and he can, looks like he has the Oppo agent in hand to get Byron here, and he'll take a Badlands out of his library, and we'll go back over to Byron's turn. Byron does have his own opposition agent, but it doesn't look like David's going to be doing fetching, especially knowing that the 2 Triumphant St. Catherines are on top that he can Miracle back to back. But he's going to be in a tight spot here. I believe taking the 6 damage here would probably be better. That way they have double blocks out for the following turn, and one of those 2 creatures would survive. But we'll have a Miracle here, and play our Badlands, and he has an Oppo agent of his own, so that's interesting. Pass back over. Byron picks up, what does he pick up? I can't quite tell. It looks like he's going to play his Oppo agent, maybe? Oh, he finds a fetch land. He can fetch this time because there's no Oppo agent on David's side. An attack for 6 here will put David down to 4, where if you would have stayed at 4, or gone down to 4 last turn, he could have double blocked, gotten that off the battlefield, gained 5 life back, and only lost one of his 2 creatures instead of losing both creatures. So it's something for him to think about while he's watching this video, and he can feel very poorly about it later. Alright, so we've got a Triumph of St. Catherine coming out off a Miracle, and then we'll see an Oppo agent come into play as well at end step. And he rips the Shieldrick's Edict, so Jesus Christ. Alright. We're in shit town now. So we've got Shieldrick's Edict on 1, the other one's gonna die. So this is a very interesting how this works. Because the Shieldrick's Edict kills it first before damage. So 1 is technically still on the battlefield because we have to resolve this one first. So he's going to get the top 6 cards of his library and shuffle them in, and then once he shuffles those 6 cards in, then he'll do the next 6 cards off the top and shuffle in that one. So he'll put 1 on the bottom, or take 1 out of the pile, put 1 on the top, and then he'll shuffle that one back in. So we don't know where it's going to lie. It has to be the top one, otherwise David is in some deep doo-doos. So we'll see if that's the case. It is not a Miracle Triumph of St. Catherine. So no miracles are happening here on this channel today, and it looks like we're going to have enough damage to kill David, and he's going to pack it up, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.